What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some information about Vampire the Masquerade Eternal Whispers, a narrative CRPG that was announced properly a few days ago via a trailer that, due to when they dropped it, took me a while to get around to actually covering, which is what we are doing here. So, this is a pretty exciting announcement overall. I've been wanting a Vampire the Masquerade CRPG for quite some time, and I think this one does have some promise just based on the premise alone. But let's start with probably the most important bit, which is that this is going to be a narrative CRPG leaning towards things like Disco Elysium and all of the games that spawned and games inspired by it, like most recently Esoteric Ebb or a few others, just as some examples. That's definitely kind of the direction they are taking and much of what we can expect, I would imagine. However, there were some more details in there, both on like the Steam page as well as the trailer itself, that give us a little more information that I thought was worth talking about. Let's start then with the title, Eternal Whispers, and in the trailer they specifically mention the Temple of Eternal Whispers. This is a Sabbat headquarters. The Sabbat being an organization within Vampire the Masquerade that is kind of the opposite of the Camarilla, who they often find themselves at war with. Now that's notable because we do not typically play as the Sabbat. They often serve as the antagonists, if anything. And yet, by all accounts, we appear to be a member of the Sabbat as part of this game. It specifically mentions that our character, who has a set name but not a set appearance, Gabe, awakens from torpor. You are brought back to consciousness, let's call it, and you happen to find yourself in Montreal, which is where the temple is, and yet your time in torpor, which has, according to the Steam page, been decades, left you with fractured memories and a buried past, and it seems that you were not awakened for nothing. As you start to investigate your past, you are meant to unravel some truth and how you are connected with the Temple of Eternal Whispers, given that the Sabbat are, in theory, no longer there. Now, I don't know what the story of this game is going to do, but the Temple of Eternal Whispers is interesting in a broader sense because what it actually is like a necropolis that a disease demon is sort of bound to. This demon was the cause of a cholera outbreak, I believe, and those cholera victims were actually sent to the temple, which again was kind of a necropolis, even if they weren't actually dead, and their screams from inside this place gave it its name. And in fact, the Sabbat being there for a long time are what allowed the demon kind of causing all of this to maintain a certain level of power despite being imprisoned in the area. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with all of that kind of regardless. But let's talk a little bit about our character, Gabe. So we do seem to be a set character in that sense. However, I have not seen anything that specifies what clan Gabe is. Being a member of the Sabbat, there's a couple that are likely, but technically it is open. And I'm curious basically if this is just going to be like also a set choice or if this is something they're going to let you choose. Because while they did show a little bit of character creation, this was a cosmetic bit. We didn't see like an option for the clan in there. But it may well simply just be like a separate page or something. Gabe is not alone. We are going to have a follower of sorts, which appears to be a thin blood named Sam. And I'm not exactly sure what her role in the story is, but the Steam page mentions that she is guiding you and there's going to be a hunt for a ghoul of some sort that kicks off everything else. So there's a little bit of that. Now, something else that all of this mentions, both the trailer and the Steam page, are choosing a path, embracing what the Sabbat is, or trying to preserve what is left of your own humanity. And so at least that aspect of your goals is something you're going to be able to shape as well. And it looks like we are going to do that through the tabletop RPG system. So another interesting aspect of this game overall is that it is appearing to use the actual system that the game is based on, which is V5 Masquerade. So I don't want to get into the specifics, but that is basically a system of D10s where you roll for failures or successes based on your relevant skills to the roll. So you kind of roll the amount of dice you have for the relevant skills and then add up the successes and failures for a pass or fail as like a super simple baseline explanation. And that system is going to be controlling much of the actual like dice rolls and investigation you'll be doing. They do mention that investigation is a central theme here and that you're going to be investigating quite a bit, mainly your past, but also like individual situations you come across to actually do that. There will be an investigative element to it. They also want failure to be interesting, And I would imagine some of what they've shown off here shows 2 skills, willpower and hunger. And I am curious how they'll wind up just adapting the rest of the system to this particular game. But long story short, I suppose everything I've seen about this looks pretty interesting. We don't have any idea of like a release date or anything like that. They just dropped the announcement trailer. So I do not know when to expect this game, but I will almost certainly be covering this, as I am greatly interested in this as a project, as I think there is a lot of potential here for all of the reasons we have just discussed. But as for right now, I do think that is most of what we know. If you saw something I didn't, or you simply have some theories, by all means feel free to drop them down in the comment section below, which of course means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.